special vault room for that is going to be, well, basically metal in between the walls, all four of the walls. That's the option that I choose to go with. The other option is a DEA grade cage, and to get us or staff, I don't want them to sit in the cage.
All the employees are vetted or any?
All the employees will be vetted and trained. There's programs that I'm already speaking with. I've gone through one myself at BMCC, so you know, that's the route that everybody's going. Everybody needs to be up on their P's and Q's.
So we are, there are a lot of things we can't control. We understand that completely, right? We, you know, that's the world we live in. But we want people who start the businesses to be socially conscious and make it safer for people, right? I understand that the whole world is unsafe. That doesn't mean that I can add one more unsafe to the world, right? That's not the idea behind these things. So I look at our role here, basically making sure that, you know, if we are really going to do something, right, not to reform the world, but to make sure that we don't add anything more to the problem. And we are concerned because there are schools next to that, very close by. And this is a very, again, people argue all the way. There are doctors who argue. In fact, there are, you know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I forgot. They want to do one in New Dublin, a medicine, and the doctor who came in and argued. You remember that, you know, saying that what a great thing it is. So I understand that there are people in there, but I belong to a place where I think it is addictive, right? This addiction does lead to bigger addictions over a period of time. That's again my personal opinion. I'm not really putting it on you because that's what you're doing is legal and you are perfectly have every right to do that. No, I'm not even getting into that. But I just want you make sure that you are socially conscious and you're making sure that you don't, you try. We all have a responsibility to protect people, right, to some extent. So we just want to make sure that you are on the same page with us on that. That's what we want to make sure.
No, absolutely. I mean, listen, I have no problem coming to a meeting with you guys.
That's why I asked you first question, are you a Staten Islander? Because a lot of people were not a Staten Islander.
Right.
And somewhere else, and they put the stuff here and they walk away, and then after that, they don't even.
I was gonna say, that's a personal gripe of my own, but yes, I kind of agree with you with that. And then again, being a Staten Islander, I take on that responsibility as far as the community and keeping things away from the youth. And again, not having stuff that attracts, you know, the children. I'm 100% with you and beyond. Yeah, that's.
So let me ask you a question. Where do you anticipate your clientele coming from as far as into your store? What are you looking for? Foot traffic, people driving in?
It's gonna be a mixture, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Dr. Raju, you raised a point earlier in your presentation about the cost of capitalizing this business at this location. I was wondering if you can expand upon that. More so when you think about any business, not necessarily in the cannabis trade, oftentimes a proprietor will go in with the best of intentions. And in the process of trying to recover the initial capital outlay, revenues may not be hitting the anticipated target. And there's a shortfall. And they need to cut back on staff. So obviously, it would be a concern as to whether or not this enterprise is undercapitalized. So maybe you can reassure us and maybe give us some background on your prior, like business ventures, which I understand weren't in the cannabis trade.
Correct.
If you're receiving any external funding, and if so, maybe the background of those funders and how would you deal with a disruption in the economy and understanding that you would need to meet certain compliance requirements that do require funding.
Got it. Well, my plan is the complete opposite of what was mentioned earlier, where people are going into business and astronomical rents and overstaffing and doing all this stuff because they saw the glitter, right? And that's how I describe it. It was the glitter throne. It's to actually take a look at the real estate of it. So I'm looking for a smaller space, a smaller footprint, nothing crazy, nothing astronomical. I'm not looking to hire to cut back. I'm looking to come in and grow and hire within the community. I'm not looking to, like I said, bring people and get rid of them. As far as any of my previous stuff, I mean, I've done a lot of different things. I've worked on the trading floor of the American Stock Exchange, and I've worked in Amazon right around the corner. I've opened up my own record store in Albany, back in the early 2000s. I have I built an online radio station from scratch that, I was able to play music legally, United States, Canada, and the UK, multiple shows, multiple people going on, revenue. I built a store inside of that, to help basically facilitate some of that. I'm just like I said, an entrepreneur type person. I'm in the paint. I was in the painters union. I currently paint right now. That's what I've been doing.
So you know what you're getting into as an owner operator, those
Correct.
businesses. So
Yes.
when do you anticipate you're being able to recover the initial capital outlay? Have you put together a business plan?
I mean, the projection, because it's back to, like you said, you're giving a projection. This is something new. I mean, I'm looking to fully recoup within 24 months.
Okay,
So-
and you can carry the business for 24 months.
Yeah, within that, I mean, you're talking the initial investment.
Covering
in-
payroll,
Yeah,
utilities.
absolutely. I mean, everything is, I have everything basically spaced out within budgets and, again, working within those budgets and seeing, okay, great, I did awesome within this budget and maybe the money will stay there. Maybe it'll roll over into the next project, which will create that, give myself a larger, budget to get that done.
Fair enough. Yeah, thank you.
No, that's why we started out, the first question I asked you was, are you self-funded or funded by government? If you say that you got the money from the government, then the discussion is over, because the money is gone, that means you have no money to do
Nobody
anything.
got
So
money
that's
from
why
the
what Joe is talking about is important, because there is the people who really put in the money, with the government money, all of them are absolutely gone, so there's no more internet, so the number of dispensaries are going to go down drastically, they're cutting down so much because they're not able to. The reasons are twofold. One, there is not as much market as it thought it was, one. And second thing was the illegal, people selling illegal marijuana is becoming such a big trade. People are selling it all over the place. So the people who are legally trying to sell that are being undercut to a great extent. So they never really figured out how to control the other market, because that's a parallel market which is operating, and that market is more cheaper, beneficial, is also easily available. It's not at one or two places. You can actually walk into any of these places, as you probably know them. There are people who are selling this all over the place, so.
Well, and I mean, studies are actually starting to show, because what had happened was, so once the law was legal, but yet licenses were an issue, you had a plethora of stores that opened. And the sad and bad part about that was a majority of the people thought they were actually shopping at legal dispensaries. So the licensees, which there weren't as many of us as there are illegal shops, I would tell people, if you can get bread, cigarettes, soda, and cannabis, you're in an illegal shop. If that shop is showing a cannabis leaf in its window or anywhere on the outside or advertising exotic or anything along those lines, that place is illegal. Like, do not shop there. It's untested, it's unsafe product. You don't know what's in it. You don't know where it's coming from, right? And that's the scary part.
Who
And
monitors you guys from the state or city?
the Office of Cannabis
Cannabis, yeah.
Management, and we have the Cannabis Control Board. And then there's also the Cannabis Advisory Board.
So when I'm the representative because of the Staten Island to the cannabis board, because they
okay.
send me every month, right? From the state, how many cannabis opening, so I monitor this over the period of many years ago, 3-4 years now. But it's been very difficult, because the problem is, it's got multiple, it's got social problem, it's economic problem, the business model they have is not the right business model. Hopefully, he has got a lot of experience, he may probably convert that into that. Because the people who this is the problem, right? They want to give this license to people who has got no business sense at all, zero.
Exactly.
So they gave them the licenses, and we told them, I'm going to give you some money, go and set it up, right? Of course, it failed, right? And they were not able to monitor them and manage the illegal market. You got to make sure illegal
Yeah.
market is not there. Otherwise, this will contract with them, because one, their geographic access is better, the illegal market, cheaper, much more varieties, right? And people are willing to take the risk. right? It's a part of it. If I wanna have a party at 11 o'clock at night on a Friday night, he's closed. So I'm just going to the local bodega, that's where I'm gonna get that, right? That happens every single day. So there were a lot of miscalculations done. It is not new. And the problem with that was it was not properly managed. So both socially, economically, as well as business wise, it's a kind of
The bad model.
a bad model. But hopefully, that's why here's a man who really has got no handout from the government. So cause of business sense, hopefully, we'll see. But I just wanted to be very responsible because you are really near two schools that concerns me tremendously.
Well,
because,
that's a big concern for
Yeah.
a lot of
For a
people.
lot of people.
Kids walk
Yeah,
by
they walk
back and
by,
forth.
yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you, honestly, we've had these coming before us before. And Community Board Two's position is, we don't want you out of business, but we just would not like to see you in high profile areas where children or can walk by there and somehow become, attracted to it. So we have no issues with them if they go into more commercial, industrial areas where people would have to actually drive to pick up their whatever you want, their pot and go home and have themselves a great old time.
Yeah, I mean,
That's always been our position though.
All right.
and there's also the delivery aspect of it, where
You can
somebody can
deliver.
be at home and
Right,
they can have it safely delivered to them versus
Correct.
being in the vehicle.
Right, and you can make just as much money and you don't have to, you get a cheaper rent in a less high profile area.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It definitely helps in that aspect, and if somebody wants it, they're gonna come and get it.
Yeah, I mean. I
Or
guess-
like you said, if you got a delivery, method,
Yes,
then they'll just
gotta
call you,
order,
order
right?
their stuff and
You
move
got
on.
your sheet right there.
We plan on delivering, I'm not
That's what
gonna
I
do
want.
it day one because I. No, we would have to, we need to own our own vehicles, we have to have our own insurance, everything.
You have
Oh,
to
you got-
find it and register with them, and
I don't.
you're not just gonna call up like you're ordering a pizza and. the
No,
guy
yeah,
gets rolled
absolutely,
in.
there's protocol, there's a book, there's protocol.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
The problem is, people never follow it. They all say A, B, C, D, I'm gonna do every one of these things, and then once the thing is running, they just do whatever they want until they get caught, and then they pay the
Yeah,
fine and move on. That's the problem.
that is a problem.
That's honest, I mean, just.
No,
being
no,
honest with
listen,
you.
no, you are, and I'm usually the guy sitting in your foot saying that to somebody else, so I get it, so I totally understand.
All right, let's take it
Thank you,
to a
sir.
vote.
All right.
Okay, so myself, yes, Roseanne,
Yes.
Ben,
Me, I'm not happy with the location, so I have no problem putting them in a different type of location. Like a Gulf Avenue or down on Industrial Loop and
Yes, sir.
spots like that, I have no issue with that, but on a high traffic area where you got children are there, there's schools down the block, I have an issue with that, so I vote no.
no, okay, Roy,
No.
Fred,
No.
and Dr. Raju,
No,
and Joseph Torres.
Yes.
So
3 and
it's,
4.
yeah, it's 4 against 3, 4.
Okay.
Did I miss anybody? No, okay.
Okay.
So you bring it to full board and.
you got a full
We're
board.
breaking, go to full board, right?
It's a full board.
Yeah.
Full board votes on it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, absolutely, sorry.
All right.
Wish all the best, right?
No, thank you very much, I mean.
No, thank you for being an honest conversation. It's an honest conversation, so,
If you could find a location that suits you, that's less high profile, I know you're trying to get the foot traffic and the exposure and. Or business.
To the adults, not to the.
I got it,
No, trust me, if I'm in that space,
It's just.
Thank you.
as I come by, you'll see that I make sure I'm very adamant about not having any kids around or anything like that, like stupidly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
And thank you, I appreciate
The only
it.
reason why I say it, because we've turned them down before. But
No,
when they're
it's
close
fine.
to schools, when we see a school within a couple of blocks, I mean, me personally, I know kids, they walk, they gotta take the buses. Not every bus stops in front of the school. They gotta walk down Richmond
No, I
Road,
understand.
get the bus over there, or they go down and get to the coffee place and Dunkin' Donuts, they grab a coffee, these kids, they
I get it.
they
No,
walk out and they go.
I'm just gonna, yeah, I was looking at a space that I could have taken that was attached to a school, and the reason why I could have taken is because it was in a mixed-use building, and I actually turned it down because it was next to a school. So I'm just being
Yeah.
honest with you.
Okay, no, good, I appreciate that.
So that's-
No, the board
My
may,
journey.
the board may think very differently, so come to the board.
No, and I'm open to it. I like it because it's, again, it makes a person think, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, like I'm
Yeah.
okay. I really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
you have the space already.
Correct.
He's
The lease
tentative.
already.
He's got a tentative lease now.
And-
He didn't execute it, yeah, he's gotta get approval, I'm assuming you're waiting for approvals,
That's
right? Or-
Well, no, I signed the lead David deposit.
And
I'm
he
just
already
waiting
has
for
the
the
license.
state.
This is where I get confused.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
already have, so how does that work?
Yeah, so basically the state just, it will do their due diligence on the location and go yes or no.
No
That's
matter what
all
the
waiting
board
for.
says.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's.
Yeah,
what
purely
I'm-
advisory, that's all.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
but,
I
you know,
confused. He has the license, but it's a CAURD. Can you just
Yeah, yeah.
explain that? I don't think they know what that means.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
don't
so
mind.
it's a conditional adult use.
So we cannot prevent him, you has got license and you got a
Right.
thing, so
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah, it's, no, like I said, I just, I.
But you'd
also-
like to have a community board approval.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's nice to actually come and meet,
Yes.
because again, I know people that never even showed up at these things, right? So,
Mm.
you know, they applied and they just didn't show up. I wanted to come and show up.
But you want to be a good neighbor and then
You're a
if you're
good
going
neighbor.
to. be,
So we
serving-
appreciate his sincerity, believe me, that was never a question. The question was the location.
Are you a cash business or is that, how does that work with that? 'Cause I know
It's
they take credit cards
Not
or,
credit card,
so how do you, then you're a cash business?
it's a mixture, they take debit,
Oh, they take debit cards,
correct, not credit, not yet.
but this federal government doesn't approve. it. It's only approved by federal.
Trust me, I'm just as puzzled
No,
as some things. as
I
you
would-
guys are. Yeah.
What are the food stamps
Okay.
next?
Okay,
All right,
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, pleasure meeting you, thank you very much.
There's March 18th.
Okay,
I'll
awesome.
remind you.
Thank you very much, thank you. everyone.
JC.
Thank you for your
take care.
patience.
Thank you, have a good one.
You too, sir.
Okay, so.
Yeah, that was-
moving along
should I-
the Agenda, I will.
Should I be on the next one or I should leave?
Joe, you could stay.
Yeah, stay.
That's fine. All right, okay.
Joe's the public service,
Okay,
you'll
fine.
help. We kind of did this together.
No
Yeah.
problem.
So in the interest of time, I think it would be helpful, if, I just open the
And it's
floor,
helpful
because
also.
prior to the meeting,
Okay.
you kind of highlighted the fact that we may have been coming into this discussion with some misconceptions. So anything that you can do to sort of illustrate, you know, your constituency, the stated purpose of the organization, and what you foresee will sort of help us, you know, engage in the discussion. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you giving me the time and opportunity. I know we was doing some outreach locally for folks, and so thank you for circling back and letting us know about tonight's meeting. So I'm Jennifer Wesley, the Executive Director of St. John's Residence for Boys. We are a child welfare and juvenile justice residential program. We typically service males. However, we have an opportunity to operate the 1133 Fort Hill Drive location for females in a service delivery that we've been doing since 2012 under the Close to Home Auspice under ACS and the Administration for Children's Services in the Office of Children and Family Services, OCFS. So it's a lot of acronyms, so I don't want to call them out because, you know, I just want to make sure everybody knows, you know, who we report to, who our governing bodies are. Most of our locations are in Queens. We are going to be opening a close to home program in Brooklyn. Very interested in the Staten Island and we will be working with another funder to work on an adult program. So we are expanding, although we're St. John's Residence for Boys, we are expanding our service delivery and provisions as an organization. With regards to this program, prior to us, I think since you said
2013.
13, I thought it was 14 when I spoke to the previous CEO, have been operating a girls close to home program at that same location. We will be offering the same services under the same governing body, ACS and OCFS, to deliver that. It just will be a change of providers due to procurement. our programs are, evidence-based. We have an evidence-based model, so it's a clinical model that really helps to decrease recidivism, be pro-social, help young people to make more positive decisions and to decrease criminogenic, activity and mindset. We've had a lot of success in our programs over the years. And, you know, we've graduated a number of youngsters. We've connected them with community service. We've had them take internships programs. We've partnered with, the community to do different things, expose them to, different things. Young people even, you know, because the age is not, they're not like adults, you know, they're right at the cusp, like 18, 19. So, but they, you know, some kids are connected with college, whether that's online. And then we still monitor the young people after they go home to make sure that they're continuing on their right path, provide aftercare services. And recently, under Mayor Adams and the Commissioner Judge Downhouser, they've extended a program called Fair Futures, which can monitor young people up into their 26 with goals around education, employment, and housing. While they're in the program, they'll have a coach, and that coach can continue to service them if they're interested in that opportunity. But as a part of the program, they will receive 4 to 6 months of aftercare services. But that's automatic, and they can still tap into the Fair Futures program up to 26 if they're open to that, which we really want them to be, because it's a youth-centered approach regarding the young person's goals. So we haven't serviced females before, but we are very excited. Most of the folks that were there, you know, I personally have a daughter. I love being a parent to a daughter. I only have one. And, you know, some of the other leadership team members there too as well. What we did is, with the old provider that was leaving, you know, we spoke to the staff there. They're Staten Island residents. We, you know, tried to recruit some of them. We've already worked on doing that, and we continue to recruit individuals out here. You know, we have got some resumes from Jersey, we have got some resumes from Brooklyn, but most of our resumes are from Staten Island. I mean, it's a, you know, insular area that we want to be folks who hire within, and so that's the bulk of where that comes from. You know, most of our applicants have come from, and so what we're doing now is hiring individuals, training them, letting them shadow existing programs that we currently have, so that when we are able to, you know, open up and have residents come in, we would have staff that's already ready and trained to go. The program is a secured program. It's locked doors, controlled by a command area that can open and release doors. Of course, it's for young people that have had a juvenile justice case for a lower offense, but through the family court, it's monitored through family court. And the maximum adjudication time would be 18 months. And so they would be in the program, they would go through the evidence-based model. We use the Missouri approach, and it's a phase system to really take the time and learn really what led you to be where you're at today and what contributed to those decisions. We actually have a coach from Missouri that comes in and spends time with our staff every single month. You know, of course, you know, do contract work. And they make sure that we're keeping to the fidelity of the model, and making sure that they provide a hands-on technical assistance to our staff and real-time feedback. And all staff are trained in that model, as well as trained in de-escalation skills and things like that. All of our youth in the program will have clinical intervention, so there'll be nursing on staff, access to psychiatrists, and access to clinicians for individual psychotherapy that will work with the young people as well as work with their families for them to return back home. And sometimes returning home is not the right option because there may be too many things that are concerning safety. And we would work with their family to say, like, you know, if they're another family member, you know, sometimes, you know, I remember back in the day, you know, people sit their families down south, or they did whatever, you know, you do whatever you have to tap into the resources that you do. And so we, you know, would be able to see how we could support the family and being able to do that and what resources to do. And we've seen that with the young boys that we serve. You know, they come into the program, they're away from temptation. And so we really work with them on, one, having the courage and the confidence to be able to separate yourself, you're doing well. You're going back to that community. And so like, how do you really do that? And that's where our aftercare team really comes out. They go to school, they see them about 3 times a week at least, and they're really like spending time with them, really making sure that they're connected positively with things. And we've had great success. So that's a little bit of the overview of the program. I know that was kind of quick. I'm sorry. I know everybody's been here, but I thank you for the time.
It's very helpful because I think in order to advance the discussion, we need to be very precise with the narrative. And I say that because of what transpired in 2013, that I think as a community, we're aware of our obligation to address these critical, like, social priorities. And there is evidence to support that when you address this crisis point at a young age, you drastically reduce the rate of recidivism. So there's no debate on that issue. But as a community board, we represent our constituency. And when this worked its way into the public session, I was told there was even a level of disorder, and it was very, very difficult to control the objection that was present in the room. And at least from what I was informed, it was really grounded in concern over whether the location was secure, because there were male residents that were proposed to be in that facility. I was also told that, the property was adjacent to residential properties and a myriad of concerns, and some of them may have been misinformed. So I think one of the points that we found to be very helpful in the discussion that we had before the meeting is we made an incorrect assumption. We didn't realize that there were no males admitted to this program. And if somehow that component of the delivery is highlighted and even brought to the forefront, that would help diffuse anyone coming forward, repeating objections that were voiced 12 years ago. And in addition to that, there has been success locally within a program that has been operating without incident. But has also been concerns raised as to what controls are in place. How is the facility mandated to not allow a male or male residents under extenuating circumstances? Because that obviously could be an objection from someone who's misinformed to suggest that even though we're going into this with the understanding that it's a female populated program, that can there be a change of strategy unbeknownst to the community, 2 years, into the program. So I know that that's a lot to unpack, but if we can sort of address these issues head on, it's going to make it a much more productive discussion.
So let me just answer that. OCFS is over ACS and, the governing body. Make sure to state that they are only interested in having a female facility. I think they remember the encounters as well as ACS, that they are interested in a female facility at that location. They're not really willing to entertain a male facility there. We currently operate male facilities. We do not take females. We can't commingle. It's a single sex operation. So we wouldn't have females and males there at the same time. You just can't.
And there's no option for converting the facility without actually bringing that conversion to public.
The same way that the city has been with us and how we typically are, like, if there's a conversation, even for just a change of provider, we could say, hey, first of all, we're transparent and we're partners with the community. That's the first thing. I think our stakeholders who are the city and the state understand how important community relationships as well as we do. We would want to have that conversation. We don't have a desire to change that. They don't have a desire to change it. They're very clear that they want to have a female facility there. And and if that happened, we would come back to our friends. That's why we want our friends. I'm calling you friends already. But we would want to come back to anybody that we know to say, hey, the state or the city have come to us and asked us, this is where we're at. But that typically would not happen. Usually what you procure, you do it. And what they know is that they actually have a need. Young people are, there are activities going on with young people and they have a need for a girls' facility, which is what they want to open and continue to have.
Okay.
So, we would definitely, I don't foresee that happening, but if anything happened, that's why
have to come back to us.
we would only want to. I don't foresee it happening because the state has already said that's identified for a girls' facility. And I think that might have been because of prior feedback that they've
Mhm.
received, and respectfully
Right.
so. Like, I mean, there may be other locations that may not have that concern. Why not, if you can meet a need of young people there? And just so you know, just to further that conversation, there's space in that building for the school and there's DOE. So when the kids were there before, the school is placed there. There's a school there. So the kids are not leaving that facility. They're not
Mhm.
going into the community to do stuff. It's a very locked facility. And I definitely checked with the previous, CEO, he hadn't really recalled having any major incident or problem. He said, it was a quiet relationship. He said in the beginning, it was very, people were very nervous about this new program coming in, but throughout the time, it was a quiet, a positive relationship. And then COVID, people in the community was concerned and, would drop off stuff or, bring cookies, little things just to, because the staff definitely work 24 hours, 7 days, it's like a hospital. You have to take care of and care for the kids that are there. And it's similar in our other residents, we've done that same thing. And we operate, most of our facilities, we have one that's unlocked, but this one, all of our juvenile justice are locked facilities. And they, the security system, the vendors come out, they maintain it. We kept the same vendor that was already familiar with the system and upgraded the areas that needed to be upgraded. Because they already understood the building, they knew the working. The previous provider said they were excellent vendor. They've been great in trying to get everything up and get it all, switched over and system wide. But, and it's security cameras, it's all of that. You open one door before you can close another. It's, very structured. And our staff are trained in how to, the term that they use is move young people. So people move in a certain way. You have a certain staff ratio that has to accommodate. Our vehicles, sometimes are prepared to be able to handle that. And the school, the school will be on the ground, so young people will be there. There's a gym area for them to have their recreational indoor enclosed with security, gym area for the young people to be able to go there and get their outdoor movements and activities that's left in excellent shape. So we're just coming as, wanted to meet our neighbors because we want to partner with neighbors to be, and neighbors, the community board, the representation of that is that, we want to be able to partner. And, if people want to come see the facility, before we, we definitely would. Of course, when kids are there, we're more
Of course,
protective and it's locked, but I mean, we have no issue, you just open the door, somebody's at the control area, opening and closing and doing that, but people may want to see and want to understand what that looks like, and we're totally open and amenable to that.
That's very helpful. The more information we can present preemptively, the less likely we're going to be having a discussion with protesters. And that's where it becomes extremely difficult to have a thoughtful conversation about what's best for the community. But I do think we need to be, very clear and proactive in getting that message and to also reinforce the fact that this is not unprecedented, that we've actually employed these programs without incident. And I think that would help allay some of the concerns that may come our way. So if you're okay with that, I think that would be a very
Sure,
good.
I mean, it's the same, it's close to home, non-secure, it's called a non-secure place for girls. The thing is, they may have had a contract for more girls, it would be up to 9 girls, which is even smaller, out. Previously, before the new contract came out, we used to do 12 per unit, and the city wanted to right size and make sure that it wasn't too many kids to serve, and so it's better in a smaller setting, but it doesn't mean that 9 youngsters would be there at one time. You could have 4 or 3, depending on what the need is that exists citywide. And so, and the idea of close to home was prior to 2012, if someone got arrested and was adjudicated, they would send them upstate, and family members were very upset. It was a hardship to go visit. So what they wanted to do is, and then it was also the reentry back in the community was harder for the young person to adjust. And so they wanted to put young people closer to family because also that would help with visitation, that would help to give hope, that would help with a lot of things that help it in the in the work that was being done, in the therapeutic work that was being done with the young person. And so they saw a lot of success. It's been a very successful model. just throughout, we're not the only providers, like Children's Village, there's a couple, Good Shepherd, Graham, there's a couple of providers that have definitely, throughout time, participated in the Close to Home initiative. But it has worked. We have not had girls. There was one other time that they looked at, prior to my tenure with them, looked at servicing girls, but at that time they didn't make a decision. But what we did, what my board did was open up our language and our bylaws to service youth, children and youth. So we didn't want to limit ourselves. And even most recently, we, it just was a water contract for adults. So we're working on, even though our name says boys, and if I showed you, we're doing some new brands and we just changed our logo to be a circle, and it used to be like a male, like two males walking, like young boy and a bigger boy walking together. And because we no longer are going to be just a young male only provider, we, doing some branding and changing about how we communicate.
So basically, it's a new provider, providing the
Same
same
service.
service that's been there
Yeah.
since 2013 or 2012.
Yeah.
What's the age group? Okay, so.
It will be 12, the youngest, and it will probably go up to I would say about 19 or so, because they're still in family court. So you could be arrested at 18 or, right on the cusp, but your sentence could be a year. So we might have somebody that might be about 19, and then we still will provide the aftercare service to them. So we could work with a 20-year-old or 19-year-old, but typically in program, they're a little bit younger.
Okay. And next question is, you servicing the females from Staten Island, or are they coming up from other boroughs, or?
So we don't get to pick. So ACS, of course, if you are, they typically, unless it's a safety concern. So sometimes they, like if a young person did something and then there may be a danger where people are after them, even though we're secure, you never know if somebody might try to attack a building or try to do something that's unsafe. So the city usually places people in those programs. We don't get to determine on that, but it is easier for us to work with people in the community that we're in because we build those relationships. And so what we don't want to do is often send somebody, if we have somebody just now in Queens or our Richmond Hill site, and they're going back to the Bronx, of course, we may know a few places out there, but it's much better for us to work with programs, and we're building relationships in our community, and the kids get attached to those, providers.
Makes sense.
People may come in, and to do work with them. They're not really out in the community per se, but we usually have providers come in, and we look for community providers to come in, and I think that's what I told to Lauren, any programs that would do that. Of course, the college, we probably would want to do something, even have students, they may be some field placement or groups with therapy, different things that we would want to do work around, and similar to how we do in some of our other programs, things like that.
So how do you handle, let's just say you get an individual that is out of control? And doesn't comply to all your rules and gets out and causes havoc? How do you deal with that?
So first of it, if somebody gets out in one of the secure facilities, that havoc on anybody's watch, nobody wants to do that. But there's all reporting, and also that information goes immediately to our reporting sources, and we would have a conversation with the city that this is, they don't, if somebody got out, like I'm just thinking, like if someone got out, you do a report and the MCCU, and you do a report into the city, you automatically do a report to the police. There's a warrant picked up, and that kid isn't automatically brought back to us. They're taken back to Crossroads, and and then they have to see a judge, and a judge makes a decision. Sometimes they keep them at Crossroads or Horizons, and so those programs are really based on the youth's age. So the younger kids will go to, I believe, Crossroads, and the older kids go to Horizon. And so, and then the judge would make that decision about what the fatal decision would be if that kid is eligible for a program. But just say we have two kids, to be honest, that come from a rival gang. And even though they're in our program and we're doing everything really aggressive and hostile to each other, they're trying to get at each other. And they do say girls are a little bit rough. So, the boys we've been able to manage pretty much, but the girls are a little bit rough. And so, we still gotta wonder how that's gonna work, but, you know, we have conversations with the city and we move, there are enough programs that you can
Move 'em
shift
around, separate.
that you would be able to do for safety
Yeah.
reasons and things like
Yeah,
that.
only reason, because you do have to watch for the community, nobody wants to, I
Yeah,
mean, you're there, if you're quiet, nobody hears it, I'm sure nobody have an
Yeah.
issue with it, but.
So-
Once something starts going on, everybody's eyes
that space.
look right at you,
It's
you
a
know?
beautiful
Yeah.
space, and I mean, it's very secure.
No, it
I
is,
mean,
yes. I know it's fun.
it's a secure space, it's a big, you know, it's a nice space. You know, the state had it there, I mean, they did a really nice job with it. I mean, and the previous provider who had it kept it in really good shape.
Do you have any, you know, girls with addiction issues in your thing?
So we don't have any girls yet, but so
But
the young
they will
men,
have addiction issues, they don't, that doesn't prevent you from housing them there, right?
so, can that happen? It can.
You can.
But our therapist, part of the program is also having somebody with a case-like license to be able to provide treatment. Every child that comes in within the first, I think, 30 days, they're having a substance abuse assessment done on them. They do a mental health, psychiatric assessment. Of course, they have a physical, and they also have a clinical regular for therapy assessment, and they also have, assessment for substance abuse. So we have a protocol that has to happen, by our
You manage.
stakeholders. And so we already operate like that with our boys, so it would be seamless to operate like that with just, with another program. Of course, a new population, but another program, it's already how we do business.
So you are not, so from what I understand, you're not boarding them, you're actually rehabilitating them, right? Is that correct?
We're treating them.
Or treating them? So the question would be, if they need, is a part of a therapeutic program, social mingling under supervision? In other words, you take them out to, social communities just to want them to do that, or they're going to be inside the thing all the time?
So
Because some programs I know, they have the social mingling because they
Yeah.
create them, they go like a school excursion, they take the 4 kids and they take them to the mall and they do that thing. Is there anything like that you do, or it's
So
just?
typically, the kids are inside the
Inside the
program.
program, okay.
There are times that they will, you know, if there's at a certain phase or the judge says that they can do something,
Mhm.
then that, you know, we're directed by the courts for that to happen
send
in
them
a
out,
certain
yeah.
phase. But most of the time, they're with staff. So, and they have to be like maybe right before they're getting ready to go home as a part of their phase, or they're going to the school admissions, or they're doing a tour, they, you know, spending a day with the family to make sure, and your worker is right there with them. So most of the time, the staff is with them. So in that model, we have the childcare staff that are trained. They're trained in the Missouri approach, and they're also trained in SPM, state crisis management. So that's really our de-escalation tools and restraints if necessary. Typically, we don't have, we've been fortunate where we don't always have high restraints, because people, you know, for the most part, adhere to the model and the program. But there are times that could happen. And so all of our staff are trained in that right now, even though we're not open, you know, we're contracted, we don't have any kids. Every staff that we have right now has been trained, they're on the floor, they're shadowing. So when when this program does open up ready for kids, our staff will be fully ready. I mean, and I think we have the luxury of being able to do that right now. And then I know I went somewhere with that, and I just lost your question, because you were saying, how do we?
No, you answered my
Oh.
question is, what is the recidivism in the program?
For us, we haven't had anybody to come back. We have asked ACS, and so I don't know that, because we haven't had anybody come back to us, and typically if somebody leaves, they would come back. At least in the last few years that I've been there. You know, how far do they track those young people, and if they can give us any stats? So I don't know that, but that is something because I asked that question too. Because we've seen such positive change. And I mean, it's really incredible to see when a young person comes in, the mindset and the behavior to when they're ready to go home. I mean, I'm a fan of the Missouri approach, and I see the work that they do, and it's really personal growth work. So they do a lot of charting about experience. So they have like some the phase work that they have to go through, and they do like a timeline, and it's a very personal experience about, you know, the people in their lives and how they got there, and so they really map it out. They keep it in their room because it's a personal story for them, but at some point in time, we do ask them when you're ready or if you're ready. You may never be ready. Do you want to share it and present it to the rest of the team? And so in that model, the Missouri approach, you're really responsible for everyone else. And so you really, somebody's having a bad day, everybody is working with that one person through that. And that's part of the group. They'll do a check-in. We check in every morning before they go to school, and the check-in is basically, whether you're staff or residents. So everybody participates because we're a community. How are you feeling today with a number? Say a feeling. If you're under a 6, we have to talk about it. And if you're over that, then that's fine. And if we ask like an icebreaker question. So like last week I sat in on one, it was like, how you feeling? And then you have to give a feeling, so a number, how you feel, what's your number, how you feeling? And then they said, the kid asked, what's your favorite movie? And so, you know, that's nice with staff, get to interact with residents in that way, but they do a check-in before they go to school because they want to make sure that they're in the frame of mind to go to school. And if you're not, if somebody's under a 6, we need to check in with you because we need you to be focused and present at school. So how do we support you as community? And then when they come home from school, and they go to school in the building, so come home is one flight. So when they come home from school, is how you feeling? And before they go to bed, we do another check-in. So the program is really designed to make sure and to level set where you're at. We need to understand that, and we need to support you and to get that out.
Is the staff drug tested?
We don't drug test our staff. We do background criminal checks. We do background criminal checks. We do fingerprinting. We do driver's license check. We don't
Psychological testing?
do psychological testing. That's not a requirement. We don't do that, but
No, usually the programs are, and I know this program because
Yeah.
I worked a lot on social determinant stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, I actually coined the term
Mhm.
social determinants of health in
Mhm.
2003.
What is it?
So-
Social determinants of health, because we, for many, about 20 years, I've been saying that the outcomes did not depend upon the programs or the treatment, doctor's treatment.
Right.
It basically, you're treating people and sending them back to where they come from, they're going to get back sick again, they come back. So that is the problem with this, the programs, right? Because they do a great job, they got everybody in there, then they send them back to wherever they come from. Broken home, they have the family, they live in a NYCHA building, drug infestation, there are people, they go back to their friends or the gang. So it kind of gets back, and that is a frustration of people, good people like them, working very hard and trying them to do that. So we need to really work on the social issues, which is a big issue, that's not a problem.
Right.
So that is why the recidivism, I asked a question, because recidivism is very high, but not because the program is good, they do a good job, they send them back, you put them back in the same milieu where they were in the part of it, right?
Put them back in the same
Yeah,
environment, you're gonna
yeah.
get back, you're gonna.
That is the problem. Sometimes it get better, they get better.
I do think that that's part of the reason. So we have the aftercare program
Yeah.
that still continues to that one is 6 months, but then Mayor Adams and the Commissioner Dan Hauser really put this other program, Fair Futures, which is a coach for the young people and can still service them up to 26, which is an incredible investment, because that same thing with it is so many times that's really about relationship building. And so when you have somebody, whether you think about a kid in sport, most of the time they connect with their coach, they want to perform for them, they want to do well for them. So if you still have we call it Fair Futures Coach, Elevate to Success is the name of our program. So you have that coach and you set up goals when you was in a program, and then they're still watching you when you're going home. And when you need that help, you know, maybe your family is a little bit fractured, but your coach is not. I mean, she's an employee or he's an employee, they're not fractured, that's their job. So, you know,
The
it's a little
social
bit of a
safety
difference.
systems need to be developed. In other words, the social safety systems, like a coach, who was somebody, a pastor, somebody
Yeah,
who
having that
does
other
that.
person.
But in the health side, it has been a tremendous. The problem with that is we treat people with asthma. Bronx is known for asthma, but people come in there every single day. You go to Lincoln Hospital, there are about 15 kids with asthma. We treat them, we give them close to $2,000 or $3,000 worth of treatment, medication, everything, inhaler, the whole thing. Send them back to the house. As soon as they go to the house, The asthma is because they have rodents, they have rats, they have droppings, that creates asthma. We don't do anything to that, so they go back and 2 days later, they come back with asthma again, and now we treat again $3,000 worth of treatment, right? Over a period of time, you look at these kids, right, they miss school, the parents miss their work, right, and they keep on doing that. But when you go back to government and say, could you give me $50 so that I can have an exterminator go to the apartment and clean them out? That's not covered by Medicare and Medicare, so we can't pay you that, right? So that has been my focus for 20 years, trying to say, it is much easier to create these things much more better than spending a lot of money on the thing, because we are spending $3 trillion a year on healthcare alone in this country. $3 trillion every single year, huge amount of money. And that comes at the expense of everything, education, roads, that's why the roads are a problem. So I understand, believe me, I understand your programs, and I worked very closely with the ACS for many years. The problem is we still have this thing, you create a beautiful environment, you give them all the things in there. The minute they go back into that, we need to protect them. They need to protect them from, sometimes you need to protect them for their own families and their own children.
What's your
families
success
get-
rate? What's your success rate? How many kids don't come back?
That's a question I asked. That's
He
it.
did ask for recidivism. We haven't had kids return to us in our close to home program, which is nice. I mean, we have a really robust program. So we haven't had kids return to us. But that's not to say that somebody can or somebody.
Also, they go to other.
Or the length of time that happened that they may be eligible. So I don't wanna give any false.
track them into
If they save one, it's good enough. You know?
No, they also age out, they age out. In other words, you send them out, 2 years later, they have the problem, they're not in the program anymore because they're 19 or 21.
Are you like a Seaman you have a Seaman Foundation?
Yeah,
You
so
do the
they
same-
got
Is that the
it.
same thing? You do the same?
So yeah,
That's
I
a
was
great
like,
organization.
yeah, so Seaman and the CEO of Seaman, David Gaston, is a good colleague friend of mine. And he was like, I'm glad you're gonna be at Staten Island, so.
You're talking, I'm saying, this sounds like the Seaman.
Yeah, so, they're a colleague agency, they don't provide this same service, but they provide similar services that we
service.
provide.
Yeah,
And I work with David, or, I see
it's a good
him,
organization.
we're
It's a
on
great organization.
different meetings and break out.
They do a great job. those
Is it
people.
like family counseling?
Yeah, we provide family counseling. We do a lot of that work prior to the kid going home.
yeah.
And we do it still when they're home. The good thing, similar to what you're talking about, when you're still connected to agency.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by them extending their future's connection. If you need a service, if you say to me, I can't focus on work because the infestation of the rodents or the mice are here, we're still connected, so we can assist you in helping you to be able to focus on your school and go, I'm embarrassed to be on a Zoom with my job because I might have roaches. And so we can be creative on how we can support people with funding, to be able to make sure that you can be successful. And similar to what I talked about too, is we have real conversations with family, like, look, this is not the right place for the temptation or the time. Do you have an aunt, an uncle, or this or that, like that we can tell, a best friend's parent that's not here?
Yeah.
And so we have those real conversations with the family. And so somebody says, I'm willing to take them, but I need help with a bed and I need this. I'm gonna get you that. We're gonna get you that. We want you to be successful. We know you can do it.
So what they're schooling, if some of these kids do want to move on with their life, they get past it and they want to go to college and whatever.
Yeah.
How do you guys help them with that or?
So with our so if you're in the program, of course, we're there. We've had 1 or 2 kids at the time because they're inside facility. We did schools that did online college, like, so we might have had a kid that graduated but hadn't finished the sentence, and so we connected them with an online program at the time. I think that happened when we was in COVID. So that was one of our youngsters in the program that was able to go to college. We don't always have older youth that are at college age, so, but we did have that one young man. And so we would probably be able to, so what we do is the coach would work with them, because as I said, there's a couple of areas that the coach works with them. Housing, education, employment, and adult connections. And so, we know that if you got a job today, you want to pick up a phone and call somebody. And we don't want your only relationship of the people to call is your coach. Like, we want that to be one person in your Rolodex, but we also want that to be, who do you consider to be your support and your connection? What adult that's a reliable adult to be part of your support and connection and all of that for folks. So we would do, so the coach would still work with them on applying for FAFSA, looking for grants, doing all of those other things to support them if they wanted to go to college. But especially with the young men that we have served now, girls may be different, we're gonna learn. You know, a lot of the boys like to do technical hands-on vocational work. So we work with, you know, you can get an OSHA, like we would still support you in doing other things. HVAC has been something. Some kids want to do barbering or culinary arts. They like to do work with their hands. And so we would then support them and connecting them with that and helping them fill out financial aid papers, or because they have been connected with the city or juvenile justice programs, we look for grants and opportunities for young people to do so. We had a kid that completed a swim course and became a lifeguard. So we, you know, there are many different things that, and we try to open up their mind to the things that they could do. And we bring vendors in, like we brought in somebody to talk about, because what you want to do is change the mindset of what they've been taught all along. So we brought in somebody to talk about financial literacy and different things as a young person. And that's not because you're in juvenile justice or you've been enforced to care, different things. I mean, getting people to understand a relationship with finance is a big thing, because, you know, the young people are doing stuff because they're like, I want to make money, or I want to get money, or I want to do this. And it's like, there's a way to do that. And for you to understand a relationship with finances and money, we want to introduce you to that. And we're not going to solve everything, but we open up the opportunity for them to understand that and to work with them.
You guys have given them pathway to employment, like partnering with summer youth employment
Oh,
program?
yeah.
Okay.
And so for our kids that can't go out, they have the online programs. We
Yeah.
set up the laptops for them to do that. The kids in juvenile justice, we do have a child welfare program where the kids can go to sites and things like that. That's not this program, and none of our juvenile justice or are, you know, within. But they, you know, they get their, just so their money comes on their gift card or their debit card. We hold anything that they earn, you know, we make sure that they're aware that they earn it, and then we hold it into their release, and then we give it to them. They don't have access to money while they're
really?
inside of the program. What are you gonna do with it?
Yeah.
You know,
What are you gonna do? I was wondering, what are they gonna?
nothing. They're gonna be held in a locker.
I do my kids do it, they're pissing away.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's held into their release. So some kids leave for like $1,000, like, you know, you can leave and you have like something nice to
Yeah.
start.
That's good. So
Excellent.
good.
Yeah, and the
Thank you.
subject
really good. This is
doesn't
awesome.
require any motion. This is more of an open discussion,
Yeah.
but if we can agree to sort of get a very concise and accurate message to the community, it would really help us.
Yeah.
Like
Help you-
advance,
it'll help
you know, this
everybody in
effort.
the community.
Yeah, this discussion is preserved and will be available
Oh, sure.
online,
Mhm.
but I know we covered a lot of ground, and I think that the best way to get the message is to keep it short, accurate, and keep the public well informed.
It's
So
the same program that's been there, it's just a
Absolutely.
different provider.
That's it.
So it's really,
Big
you
deal.
know,
Yeah.
All good.
no
Yes.
complaints from the
Yes.
community, no complaints. I checked with the NYPD.
Oh, you did, good.
So we're done.
No
We're in good
issues.
shape.
Thank
So
you.
Unless there are any questions,
No.
concerns, I think we can,
I thought it was
It was
boys.
very
I'm
well
sorry.
detailed, very well detailed.
Thank you,
Yeah,
ladies.
very well detailed.
thank you very much.
It doesn't have a lot about the program, but, it just talks about just a little bit, is, you know, just some of the different programs that we have. It's very small, to put something together for you, so what I can just read, if you would just
Yeah,
like.
there's one for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, I don't think I have everyone. It doesn't have a lot of the close to home, you know, it just says like we have a close to home program and we're opening up. It does say St. John's residence for boys. It's about 7 here. I didn't know how many people was gonna be here. But this is for girls. And so just like, even if I would just show you one quick thing, I'm sorry, I'm after 2 or 4 days, please forgive me. But just want you to just understand, so like, okay, just say a business card, and I can leave these too. But like, our business card used to be boys, like it looked like a little boy with a man here. We changed our logo to a circle, like we are inclusive of everybody.
Okay.
So we're in the process of rebranding, because as we
Right.
said, we're gonna be opening an adult program. This would be a girls program. We do still service males, and some programs we have are juvenile justice, and some programs we have are child welfare. So, just wanna be, just transparent and, hopefully, wanna be good partners and to be able to
And sorry, I'm Cynthia
Oh, sorry,
Flores,
I
I'm
done
the
told you
administrative
about-
director of programs and operations.
This is-
I'm normally very boisterous, but I'm just in a little
Yeah.
shoulder
You
pain right now.
look for funding too, you look for contributions or whatever. to your agency?
We look for funding, whether that's private donation, individuals, private, sure, private, we also look for talent in the community, so like if you, just say somebody is, like, just say a licensed electrician, whether they would like to partner with us to do a program, so sometimes we look for funding to see how we could get that done, or somebody might wanna donate their time. And we could even talk about, like, with our development office, like, maybe that could be something that's written off as a grant opportunity, so like there are different things, or somebody, the kids like to, do certain things, or if there's a barber in the community or a hairdresser in the community that can come on site and be able to do stuff, we would still compensate, we're not, we're not asking, for people to do free stuff, sometimes we are, I just wanna be clear, sometimes we are, but no, we're not, we wanna partner with people, and when kids can do things that are community service opportunities, we want to make sure that they are stewards. So we believe in like, education, stewardship, and treatment. And so that's what we really want them, with the kids to do, so that they leave better than they came. We want them to leave better than they
Okay.
came.
Thank you again.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Great presentation, you guys did a great job.
Thank you so much.
I do love the work, and I really like the juvenile justice.
All right, Joseph.
All right, meeting adjourned.
Yes, thank you.
We're out. That worked out well.